Ladies and gentlemen, let's not waste time. If you want to awaken the deepest, most electric part of a woman, you must understand one truth. Her desire is not a switch you flick, it's a fire you tend. First, you must see her beyond the obvious, not as a body to touch, but as a mind to intrigue, a world to explore. When she feels understood, when you speak to the part of her she doesn't even show the world, that's when the walls fall. Second, confidence is magnetic. But true confidence is not arrogance. It's the man who can lead without controlling, surprise without destabilizing. It's the ability to make her feel she's safe in your hands while not knowing what you'll do next. Third, be fully present. When you touch her, let it be with the weight of your attention. When you look at her, make her feel there is no one else in the room. She knows when you're half here, and she will never surrender to half measures. Fourth, understand the art of suggestion. A whispered thought, a lingering glance, the brush of your hand in a crowded room. These awaken something primal. Seduction is not about showing everything. It's about leaving enough for her mind to run wild. Fifth, protect the polarity. She wants your closeness, but she also wants your mystery. Give her enough intimacy to feel secure and enough space to desire more. This tension is where passion lives. Finally, lead with sensual intention. Not rushing, not taking, guiding her into the unknown with confidence. When you create a space where she can lose herself without fear, that's when she'll give herself completely. These are not tricks. They are the habits of a man who knows how to create an atmosphere where desire can breathe. You are not chasing her body, you are awakening her soul. And when you do, she will follow you to places neither of you has ever been. You think the beginning of desire starts when you touch her skin, but you're wrong. It starts long before your hands ever make contact. It starts in the way you see her, the way you read her, the way you make her feel understood in a world that rarely listens. Physical attraction gets her attention, but emotional intelligence keeps her captivated. She wants more than a man who notices her body. She craves a man who notices her shifts in tone, her pauses, the way her energy changes when something is on her mind. That awareness is foreplay, because it tells her she is not invisible, she is not generic, she is not just another woman to you. She is seen, and when she is seen, she can allow herself to be felt. Most men think seduction is about doing more. More compliments, more touching, more effort. But when you truly understand a woman, you know it's not about doing more. It's about doing the right thing at the right moment. If she's guarded, you don't push. If she's glowing, you magnify it. If she's hesitant, you create safety without smothering her. That's what emotional intelligence is. It's timing, it's precision, it's the ability to respond to her unspoken language instead of only reacting to her words. Desire is not logical, but it is deeply emotional. When you can connect to her emotional landscape, you bypass the defenses that block intimacy. Think about it. She spends her day managing expectations, protecting herself from disappointment, masking her vulnerability. When you show up and you read her truth without her having to explain it, she experiences a rare and intoxicating relief. In that moment, she doesn't just feel attraction, she feels trust. And trust is the oxygen of desire. This isn't about agreeing with everything she says. A man without backbone is not desirable. This is about attuning yourself to her energy without losing your own. It's noticing that she's quieter than usual, and instead of demanding what's wrong, you simply say, I can tell something shifted, talk to me. It's reading the flicker in her eyes and knowing whether she needs closeness or space. That level of attention makes her feel she is with someone who isn't just in her presence but in her experience. Many men confuse dominance with emotional disconnect, as if being tuned in makes you weak. The opposite is true. When you can navigate her emotions with skill, you're not just leading her physically, you're leading her into a deeper emotional current she didn't even know she wanted to explore. That is the kind of leadership that turns her on, because it's rooted in mastery, not insecurity. You have to remember that for a woman, mental and emotional arousal often precede physical arousal. If her mind is restless, if she feels misunderstood, if she's emotionally unseen, you can be the most physically attractive man in the room and still leave her cold. But if you can steady her mind, if you can make her feel safe in her vulnerability, if you can bring her into the present moment without demanding it, she will associate you with the deepest form of pleasure she knows. This is why emotional intelligence is foreplay, because it builds anticipation without physical touch. When you understand her emotional world, you become the man who can open her in ways she didn't know she could be opened. You can create a slow burn before you ever touch her, and when you finally do, the fire is already raging. She feels chosen, understood, and desired all at once, and that combination is explosive. The man who masters this doesn't compete for her attention. He holds it effortlessly. She doesn't wonder if he's just trying to get something from her. She knows he's present because he wants to be there, because he's fascinated by who she is, not just by what she can give him. And that fascination is intoxicating for both of you. So, you must train yourself to listen beyond her words, to notice the shift in her breathing, the way her shoulders drop when she relaxes, the spark that flashes in her eyes when she feels truly met. You must be willing to adjust, to flow, to meet her in the truth of the moment instead of dragging her into your agenda. That is seduction at its highest level, when she feels you are with her, not just next to her. When you do this, everything else becomes easier. You don't have to guess when to touch her, her body will tell you. You don't have to wonder if she's ready, her energy will open to you. You don't have to force connection. It will happen naturally, because she will feel it's safe to surrender. And surrender is where her deepest desire lives. Confidence that she can predict is not confidence. It's routine, and routine kills desire. She doesn't want a man who moves like a script she's already read. She wants a man who keeps her leaning in, wondering what he'll do next. Certain he can handle anything, yet unable to guess how he'll choose to handle it. Predictability is safety for the mind, but unpredictability, when anchored in strength, is fuel for attraction. It's the moment when she realizes she can never completely map you, that you will keep revealing new edges, that she will always have more of you to discover. That's the current that keeps her pulse alive. Most men confuse being steady with being predictable. Steady is grounded. Predictable is stagnant. Grounded is knowing who you are, being able to hold your center under pressure. Stagnant is moving in patterns so fixed she could recite your next words before you speak. Desire does not thrive in the known. It thrives in the unexpected. She wants to be able to trust your strength, but she also wants to be surprised by your moves. That means you must hold two truths at once. You are her anchor, and you are the storm she didn't see coming. When you walk into a room, she should feel that you belong there without you needing to announce it. But when you speak, she should hear something she wasn't expecting. Not outrageous for the sake of shock, but original, alive, and drawn from your own unshakable center. When you touch her, sometimes it should be slow and deliberate, and other times it should be sudden and consuming. This rhythm of contrasts tells her you're not running a routine. You're responding to the electricity between you in real time. That's what keeps her awake to you. Understand this. Predictability in a relationship is like a steady drumbeat. It can be comforting, but if it never changes, it becomes background noise. Unpredictable confidence is the shift in the beat that makes her heart race again. It's walking into a familiar moment and adding an unfamiliar element. Something that disrupts the autopilot and makes her fully present. The moment she feels she knows exactly what you'll do next is the moment her curiosity begins to die. And where curiosity dies, desire follows. This isn't about playing games or creating chaos, it's about refusing to become a caricature of yourself. Men who believe confidence is simply never wavering end up becoming statues. Impressive at first glance, but lifeless after a while. A man with unpredictable confidence knows how to pivot, how to adapt, how to keep his energy moving without losing his core. She never has to question if you can handle yourself, but she also knows you're capable of surprising her in ways that excite rather than unsettle. Think of a great dancer. He knows the steps, but he's not glued to them. He reads his partner, he feels the music, he knows when to break the rhythm for effect. That's the kind of confidence that draws a woman in. The ability to lead with certainty while keeping her guessing where the next step will take her. And every time you do this well, she associates you with aliveness. You become the man who keeps her world from going flat. The danger most men fall into is thinking confidence alone is enough. They become the same confident man every single day. Same tone, same gestures, same lines, same approach. At first, it's attractive. But over time, it's like eating the same rich meal again and again. The richness fades, and what was once thrilling becomes heavy. Unpredictable confidence is what keeps that meal tasting new, what keeps her appetite alive. She doesn't want to see your power only when you're expected to show it, when you're on a date, in the bedroom, or during a challenge. She wants to see it in moments when she didn't realize she needed it, when she's distracted and you suddenly pull her close just to whisper something dangerous in her ear, when she's stressed and you shift the energy in the room with a single calm statement, when she thinks you'll take the usual path and you take her somewhere completely different instead. These moments are electric because they're alive with possibility. If you always do what she expects, she will start to place you neatly in a category. Categories are where desire goes to die. The men who keep women endlessly drawn to them are the ones who keep evolving, keep revealing new layers, keep showing that their confidence is not a fixed performance but a living force. They can be soft without being weak, bold without being reckless, playful without losing authority. This range makes them dangerous, in the best possible way, because she never knows exactly which part of them she'll get, only that she'll want it. So the challenge is not simply to be confident, it's to let your confidence breathe. Don't let it calcify into habit. Keep her guessing, not about your loyalty or your strength, but about the way you will express them next. Let her feel that you are both her foundation and her adventure. That duality is magnetic, and once she's felt it, she won't want to live without it. When she is with you, she doesn't want to feel like you're thinking about what to do next. She wants to feel like you are already here. Not halfway here, not waiting for the right moment, not ticking off a mental checklist of moves you think will impress her. Real presence is more intoxicating than any performance you could rehearse. When you are truly present, she doesn't feel like she's part of a scene you've played out before. She feels like the only woman in the world because in that moment, she is. Performance is about control, about trying to predict her reactions and shape them to fit your desired outcome. Presence is about surrender, to the moment, to the connection, to the unpredictable electricity between you. A man who is performing is watching himself from the outside, making sure he looks confident, sounds interesting, does the right things. A man who is present forgets to care about any of that because he's too immersed in her eyes, her voice, the subtle ways her energy changes. Performance creates distance because it's self-conscious. Presence creates closeness because it's self-forgetful. You've seen it before. The man who says all the right things, touches at the perfect scripted moments, smiles on cue, but she drifts away from him anyway. Why? Because she can feel he's not with her. He's with some imagined version of her in his head. She knows he's thinking about the effect he's making instead of experiencing her directly. That makes her feel like she's part of an act, not a connection, and women do not surrender to acts. When you're present, you're not trying to impress her with the right line. You're letting your words emerge from the reality you're both sharing. You're not trying to time the perfect kiss. You're simply so close that the kiss happens because neither of you can stop it. Presence means you're willing to be influenced by her in the moment. It means you notice the spark in her laugh and let it shift your energy. It means you hear the way her voice softens and you respond without planning how you'll respond. This is what makes moments unforgettable, because they are alive, unrepeatable, and completely yours. Presence over performance also means you're not outcome obsessed. If you're always chasing the goal of intimacy, you're not actually connecting, you're maneuvering. And maneuvering feels manipulative. Women feel this instantly, and it kills trust. But when you're present, she feels no hidden agenda, just the genuine charge of two people meeting each other in real time. That freedom is magnetic. It makes her want to stay because she knows you're not trying to pull her somewhere. You're simply meeting her where she is, and in that meeting, everything she wants can unfold naturally. Think about the difference between a man who's present and a man who's performing in the most intimate moments. The performing man is thinking about technique, about whether he's doing it right, about how she'll rate him. The present man is feeling her body, hearing her breath, noticing the way she moves into him or away from him, adjusting not because he's following a plan, but because he's listening to her without words. She feels this difference instantly. With a performing man, she might appreciate the effort, but with a present man, she loses herself, because she feels he has lost himself in her too. Presence requires courage because it means you can't hide behind a routine or a persona. You have to let go of the safety of knowing what comes next. You have to let her affect you. And that vulnerability, far from making you weak, makes you irresistible, because it's real. A woman can tell when a man is risking being fully there with her. It creates a current between you that no clever trick could ever replace. Even outside the bedroom, presence transforms how she experiences you. When she's speaking, you're not waiting for your turn. You're inside her words, hearing the meaning beneath them. When you touch her, it's not distracted or casual. It's with the awareness that you're touching her now, not on your way to something else. When you look at her, you don't just glance, you let your gaze hold hers long enough, that she feels your focus like a weight. This is rare. Most people are never really looked at, never really listened to, never really felt. Be the exception, and she will never forget you. Performance keeps you in your head. Presence pulls you into your body. And when you are in your body, you invite her into hers. This is where real chemistry happens. Not in the clever line, not in the perfect gesture, but in the shared aliveness of two people who are not rushing toward the next thing. Presence turns even the smallest interaction into a spark, because every second feels deliberate, chosen, and unhurried. You don't have to be extraordinary to be unforgettable. You just have to be here fully, without splitting your attention between her and the story you're trying to create. When you stop trying to perform and start being present, she stops evaluating you and starts experiencing you. And that is the point when she will follow the pull between you without needing to be convinced, because she already feels she's exactly where she wants to be. The most dangerous thing you can give her is not your touch. It's an idea she can't stop thinking about. The mind is the most sensitive erogenous zone, and the right suggestion can make her pulse race faster than any explicit move you could make. When you understand the power of suggestion, you stop chasing reactions and start planting thoughts that grow wild in her imagination. A single glance, a half smile, the weight of your silence in the right moment. These are not accidents. They are sparks that light fires she will feed herself long after you've stepped away. Seduction begins where certainty ends. If she knows exactly what you mean, it's over too soon. Suggestion leaves the door open, lets her mind walk through, and decorate the space herself. This is why the hint is often more powerful than the declaration, a whispered, unfinished sentence that trails off and makes her wonder what you were about to say. A touch that lingers just a second longer than necessary and then disappears before she's ready for it to end. The human mind fills in gaps, and when you give her space to imagine, she will often imagine something far more intense than anything you could have said outright. The man who understands this doesn't lay all his cards on the table. He lets her think she's glimpsed something rare, and then he tucks it away. Not to play games, but to keep the energy alive. Suggestion is not about withholding for power. It's about inviting her curiosity to meet your mystery. Every time you suggest instead of declare, you engage her imagination. And when her imagination is engaged, you're no longer the only one turning her on. She's doing it to herself. Think of the difference between telling her, "I want you," and letting her feel it in the way you stand just a little too close, in the way your hand brushes hers without quite taking it, in the way your voice drops when you say her name. Words are powerful, but when paired with subtle cues, they become unforgettable. Suggestion works because it bypasses the part of her mind that wants to evaluate and jumps straight into the part that wants to feel. The real art is knowing when to pull back. If you give her everything she's expecting right away, there's nothing left to unfold. But if you give her just enough to stir something inside her, you create a craving. You let her feel the edge of the heat without plunging her into the fire. That restraint is what makes the eventual fire overwhelming, because she's been living with the thought of it for hours, days, sometimes weeks. Even in conversation, suggestion can transform everything. You don't have to be explicit to be unforgettable. You can say, "I shouldn't tell you what I'm thinking right now," and watch her mind spin with possibilities. You can describe something mundane in a way that drips with double meaning. letting her decide how far to take it. You can speak about the way you like to discover things slowly, and she will feel that you're not just talking about wine or music. In the most intimate moments, suggestion heightens every sensation. You don't rush to the climax. You take her right to the edge and then change the rhythm, letting anticipation build until she's aching for you to take her where she already knows you can. This is the space where desire becomes addictive, because you've trained her body and mind to want not just the pleasure, but the anticipation of pleasure. The danger for most men is thinking suggestion is too subtle, that it will be missed. But when you're present and attuned, you'll know she's caught it by the way she shifts her weight, the way her breath changes, the way her eyes linger just a little longer. Women are wired to read signals, and when the signal is intentional but not forced, it creates a tension she won't want to break. You must also be willing to sit in that tension without needing to resolve it immediately. Most men rush to close the loop because they're afraid of losing the moment. But the longer you can keep the loop open, the more she invests in it. She starts to think about it when you're not there. She replays the words, the glance, the pause. She builds entire scenes around a single suggestion. And each time she does, she's tying that desire back to you. When you master the power of suggestion, you stop pushing and start pulling. You don't have to chase because she's already moving toward you, drawn not just by what you've shown her, but by what she hopes is still hidden. This is not manipulation, it's art. It's the art of leaving space for her to want more. The most powerful seduction doesn't leave her feeling conquered. It leaves her feeling like she willingly walked into your world, step by step, because she couldn't resist wondering what might happen next. She doesn't want you to melt into her so much that she forgets you're separate. Desire lives in the space between two people, in the pull and push, in the magnetic tension that comes from knowing you could close the gap at any second but choosing not to. Yet, if you collapse that space too soon, you smother the current. If you never bridge it, you starve it. Polarity is the art of knowing exactly how much to give and how much to withhold so that the wanting never dies. Too much closeness without contrast turns into comfort. And while comfort has its place, it doesn't feed erotic energy. What feeds it is the subtle reminder that you are not the same person, that there is still something to cross to get to each other. That difference, masculine and feminine, stillness and movement, groundedness and fire, is what makes the connection electric. A man who understands this doesn't blur himself into his partner. He holds his own shape, his own center, and lets her feel the pull toward it. Think of it as a dance. If you press your bodies together for the entire song, there's no movement left, no momentum. The heat comes from the moments when you almost touch but don't, from the pauses that make the touch when it comes feel like a spark jumping a gap. This is why a teasing glance can be more charged than an outright invitation, why stepping back at the right moment can draw her forward more powerfully than any words. The polarity you create isn't just about physical space, it's about energetic contrast. If she's flowing and expressive, your stillness can ground her in a way that makes her feel safe enough to open more. If she's fiery and intense, your unshakable calm makes her want to lean into your steadiness. And if she's soft and open, your sudden surge of boldness can set her alight. You are not mirroring her. You are meeting her from the other side of the current so that energy has somewhere to move. The mistake many men make is thinking that intimacy means sameness, that the more you agree, match, and align, the stronger the bond will be. But sameness kills attraction. Attraction needs friction. And friction comes from difference. When you keep a clear sense of your own energy, your own boundaries, your own presence, she feels that she's with someone who can meet her without disappearing into her. That's what makes her lean in, because she knows she won't lose herself in you. She'll find more of herself in the way you meet her. Polarity also thrives on tension, and tension is not a problem to be solved. It's the heartbeat of desire. Most people rush to relieve tension as soon as they feel it. But if you can stay with it, hold it, play with it, you give her something to ache for. That ache is the space where her imagination takes over, where every second, without release, sharpens her anticipation. A moment where your lips almost touch, and then don't, can be more powerful than the kiss itself. because in that moment, her whole body is leaning toward you. Even in conversation, polarity can exist. When she challenges you, don't collapse into defensiveness or agree just to keep the peace. Hold your ground with calm certainty. When she flirts, don't immediately match her energy. Let her feel that she's moving towards something solid and unshaken. This isn't about control, it's about maintaining the dance, the rhythm that keeps her guessing and wanting. Your presence in this dynamic has to be deliberate. If you drift too far, the cord between you snaps and she loses interest. If you close the gap too fast, the air between you disappears and the spark dies. You have to be willing to ride that edge, to let the space between you hum with possibility. Sometimes you move toward her, sometimes you hold your ground and let her come to you. The constant shift keeps the connection alive. Polarity isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being worth coming toward. When you stand firmly in your own energy, she feels the thrill of moving into your orbit. She doesn't feel dragged or pulled, she feels drawn, and that difference changes everything. When she reaches you, it's because she wants to, not because you closed every inch of distance. That choice is what makes her desire burn hotter, because she feels it's hers as much as yours. The space between you is not empty, it's charged. Every glance, every pause, every step closer or farther is part of the current you're creating. That current is alive when you maintain your edge, when you don't dissolve into her, when you let the attraction stretch out like a bowstring just before it releases. The tighter you can hold it without breaking, the stronger the arrow flies when you finally let go. A woman doesn't want a man who asks for permission to lead her into pleasure. She wants a man who makes her feel safe enough to follow without hesitation. Sensual leadership is not domination, and it's not aggression. It is direction infused with presence, confidence, and deep awareness of her responses. It's guiding her somewhere she didn't even know she wanted to go, making her feel she can surrender control because you have proven you know how to hold it. This kind of leadership doesn't just arouse her body, it melts her resistance and unlocks her trust. Most men think leadership means moving first, touching first, deciding first. But that's only the surface. Real sensual leadership starts before the first move. It's in the way you hold yourself, the way your eyes meet hers and tell her you're not waiting for an invitation to be yourself. It's in the way you close the distance with intention instead of hesitation. It's in the way you create a space where her guard falls because your energy tells her she's safe in your hands. Leadership without sensitivity is force, and force without invitation kills desire. The man who leads well knows how to read her cues in real time. He notices the slight shift in her breath, the way her weight shifts toward him, the way her pupils widen. He doesn't need her to say yes in words, he hears it in her body language. And if he senses even the smallest hesitation, he adjusts without breaking the connection. This is what makes his leadership irresistible. She never feels pushed, only carried. A man who has mastered sensual leadership doesn't telegraph every move he's about to make. He lets her feel his intention before she experiences the action. When he touches her, it's deliberate, not accidental. When he changes the rhythm of the moment, it's not because he's impatient, it's because he knows tension is part of the pleasure. She trusts him to decide when to push forward and when to pull back, because she feels he's not serving his ego. He's serving the connection. This trust builds in small ways. The way you place your hand on her lower back to guide her through a crowd. The way you choose a seat where she can relax without worrying about who's behind her. The way you initiate a slow dance in the middle of a quiet kitchen without needing music. Every time you take the lead in a way that feels natural and unforced, you teach her body that following you leads to more aliveness, more excitement, more intimacy. Sensual leadership also means you're not afraid to disrupt the ordinary. If the energy between you is flat, you don't just sit in it, you shift it. You might lean in and tell her, in a low voice, something you noticed about her in that moment. You might slow everything down, forcing the room to match your pace. You might stop her mid-sentence with a kiss that leaves no question about where your attention is. Leadership is not just movement, it's direction. And direction can be bold or subtle, but it's always intentional. The man who doesn't lead leaves the entire burden of momentum on her. And that's a sure way to dim attraction. A woman wants to be able to let go, to drop into the experience without managing it. Your role is to create that container, not by controlling her, but by showing her you've got her. That sense of being held is what lets her unfold more fully, more freely, more wildly. And leadership doesn't mean rushing toward the end goal. It means knowing how to stretch the journey, how to play with pace, how to take her from stillness to intensity and back again until her body is following your cues without thought. It means slowing down when she expects you to speed up, speeding up when she's ready for more, stopping entirely when you want to sharpen her hunger. When she feels you orchestrating the experience with that level of precision, she won't just follow you in the moment. She'll crave the way you lead her again and again. The power of sensual leadership is that it doesn't have to be spoken about or negotiated in the heat of the moment. It's felt, it's earned in the way you show up in every interaction. It's built in the moments when you take initiative outside the bedroom, when you decide where to go, what to do, and how to make her feel considered without her having to ask.